I'm just about to start painting now. It's based on a photograph I took years and years ago on Denbigh Moors. I will put up the colours I'm using separately, but I'll talk about them as I go along. Hopefully it'll be quite a quick painting. I'm not going to go through my palette because it's still messy from the last one I did, but basically I've got a little sketch already in, and I've got sky, distant moors. There's actually very, very distant moors across there. Sky distance, and it's mainly heather and bushy stuff in the front, and like a pathway going across. That's all very rough, and I shall make it up as I go along, a lot of it. So first of all, I'm going to get a big brush and put in some very rough marks for the sky to start with. I've got a manky grey. The board is the backing board from an old frame, and it's 3mm MDF, I think, and I've just covered it roughly with some PVA with a tiny hint of burnt umber in it. Now that's a very, very watery, not watery, turpsy sky, which will dry very quickly. Into that put a touch of blue, touch of red ochre, make a sort of, actually I'll put a bit more white into some of that, and there's my very distant hills, these a bit further forward. And now I'm going to use yellow ochre into this bluey colour. I'm still very turpsy. I'm just going to put a hint of ochre green going across there. And then more of the red ochre and cobalt blue. The only red I'm using in this is red ochre, so I've got yellow ochre and I've got red ochre, and hopefully that will bind things together. So there we're getting into the heather. And some more heather over here. Then clean the brush. I'm going to put a bit greener green on this bit. It needs to be darker, add a bit more. That's terra verte I'm using. Terra verte, whatever. Earth green. So this is a very earthy sort of picture. I've covered up the path there in the distance, but I should put it back in again. Bit thicker yellow ochre and quite a bit of white, and it goes around the corner there. Hints of it going across there. I'm trying to get a bit of light into the front. This will all change as I carry on. Just very thin terpsy underpainting. I've got a lighter greens over here. Right, now I'm going to leave that dry for a few minutes and I will make a cup of coffee and come back. Right, here we go again. See how I'm getting on. It's not completely dry, but it should be okay. I'm going to paint very impressionistically, I hope. The idea is to get canvas covered fairly quickly and let the brush strokes work together. I'm going to try coming down from the top, and I'll do quite a bit of the mixing on the canvas, I hope. But I'm going to start off with a grey, Payne's grey, loads of white, touch of cobalt blue for the sky. I'm going to be using fairly thick paint and laying it on. Trying to get a little bit of movement into the sky. These moors are just up the road from where I live. Haven't been there for a while, but they're always windy. The sky is never still, and neither is the heather or anything that you see up there is moving. Because the underpainting's not dry, it's starting to pick up a little bit, which I don't mind because it's coming into the sky as well. Put a little more of the grey up there. I'm going to try to echo some of the shapes in the foreground. If I go quiet, it's because I'm thinking. Well, sort of thinking. What passes for thinking in my head, anyway. I haven't been doing a lot of painting recently for the simple reason that I'm losing my mojo a bit. I'm been locked down for nearly a year now, apart from a couple of weeks in September, and it's gets to me in the end. Not that I went out much anyway. I still get out the dogs more or less every day, but no real social interaction anywhere. There's just bumping into other dog walkers and talking to them at a safe distance. So there, I'm going to put a little bit of darker into that, mix some more Payne's grey and a bit of dioxidine, whatever it is, purple, just to make some cloudy shapes. A little bit of raw umber into the sky as well, just to grey things up a bit. I think that'll do. I'll drag it down a little bit over the hills, and then I'll put them back in using a smaller brush. That brush, can you see it? Now I'm starting to add a little bit of poppy oil now, and start off with the umber and titanium white. Into that a little bit of the cobalt blue, and I've got a nice grey colour for my very distant hills, which I shall lay on quite gently. And over there. Now the middle hills are going to be slightly more purple. I'm going to use some of the red ochre into that, a bit more of the brown, and a bit more of the cobalt. I don't need a bright purple, so I'm not using the dioxide whatever it is purple. I've got a sort of browny coloured purple. Which hopefully is sitting a little bit closer. so I've got that. Clean out the brush. And then I'm going to come further forward, and I want it still quite distant, so I'm using sky colour and adding some yellow ochre to it, to make a very distant sort of light coloured green. A bit more white. Don't really want too much detail at this stage. So there, we've got that. Add a little bit more green, and that's the terra vert, into that to brighten it up a little. I'll stick a touch of lemon yellow as well, just to brighten it, because I want another layer coming across there. Bit of brown, just to tone it down. Oh, I'm for it. That's going through behind these, because this is heather. Put some lighter bits quite thickly into there, because I shall go over them. Blending it into the rest of that hillside. A little bit of yellowy colour to get some light coming down that hill. So there, that's that. Now, for the heathery colour, to start with, I'm using the umber and a touch of the red ochre. Red ochre is very similar to light red, which is also quite similar to burnt sienna, but I like it. It's slightly more differenter, for want of a better word. Some of the lighter colour, so I've got light coming from that direction. Mix up some of the umber and the blue, make a really dark colour. Just dabbing in some almost pure white there to let the light catch on it a little bit, and into the very dark colour I mixed before I'm putting a little bit of Payne's grey for the base of this. Now, using some of that dark on the other side. See the difference? That's exactly the same colour, but because it's against the umber it looks pale, and this, because it's against the light green, it goes a lot darker. Well, it looks a lot darker. Into this I've got the terra vert, touch of lemon to get some brighter pushy bits in there. Almost pure yellow ochre going in there, just blobbing it in. It's another technical term, blobbing. Now, here, no, I'm going to look at what I'm doing for a change. I want to mix a nice mid-tone grey-green to fill in this bit with. Where I'll put some lights and darks. The light is coming from over there. You can see it on that hill, and those bits there. So I'm going to put some very dark bits as shadows. I want this just to look like bushes, and there's a lot of dead stuff underneath heather, and that's what I'm trying to put here, the browns and greys. I'll put some definition around the path later. Now I'm trying to do this a bit at a time. I've got some white and got some purple. And into that I'm putting the red ochre, a bit more white, a little bit more white. I've not really mixed this up, so it's got bits of all sorts on the brush. Some darker bits into it, but still catching the light. It's going further away. More darks underneath there, but I'm adding more of the umber to it. A few more light bits. There's that. Right, I shall put grasses and things along the edge there. Now, with the bushes going along this side, I'm using some of the lemon yellow mixed into the terra vert, bit of white to that, bit more yellow. I might, yes I will, I'll make that into gorse. There's quite a lot of gorse up there, so we've got lights coming off there. Add some darks underneath. We want a contrast round about there where the darkest dark hits the lightest light. And we've still got these darks coming round the base of these bushes. Now, don't know if you can see that, but I've got yellows and greens just daubed on the edge of that brush, and Now I'm going to alternate that green with this purple, because green and purple are pretty much opposite colours. Well, that sort of green is, it's a very yellowy green. I'm going to put some more of the purpley mauve with a bit of the more red in it down here. More heather. Really darks down here, more purple and red into these darks, as well as the Payne's grey, just to keep it further forward. Now, while that's settling, I'm going to, if I can find a fairly long flat brush. No, it's too long. No, why not? I'll try using that. That's my egbert, which is a very long filbert. What I'm going to try, well, no, what I am going to do here is to tie the darks and the lights together. Put shadows going across this pathway. Even darker at the front here. Now, on the far side, going back to this brush, I want some verge along there. So I'm using the terra vert and the yellow ochre. And I'm just going to tap in some grassy vergy stuff. Some light coming in, got the lemon yellow and the terra vert. And I'll put some white in. Now on the path itself, yellow ochre, white. I've got to change the sky, I think, because it's a much sunnier day down here than it is up there. Right, I think I'll put some grass going up there. Totally change this landscape. I'll try mixed green. Which is lemon yellow and cobalt blue. Just putting some pure blue into that. And over here, put some pure purple in. And punch in some really dark darks. Payne's grey, touch of the red ochre. Just to warm it up. Put some of that dark over there. Juxtapose it with these very light colours to give us some counter change. Now I'm going to go back over there now with a very small brush. Not that one. It's too bust. And I'm going to put some trees across there. Cobalt blue, touch of the brown. Either trees or bushes, something just to break that line up. keep it from being completely boring when you get there. Some more bushes into this bit. Some great greens up there where the light's hitting that as well. Right, now I need this bit here. Raggedy brush. More of the mixed green, but I'll put some yellow ochre in it as well. Down the front, red and purple. This is mainly purple and white, just going in for the highlights. And now over here, try flicking some lights in. In fact, I'm going to use my favourite brush for oil painting. That is a Rosemary and Co. bristle rigger, and I love these brushes. I've got several of them. Don't know if you can hear that. I can, it goes twang. Right, okay. Use some browny colour, blend in some white, and in the middle of all this gungy stuff, and with the very, very dark colour, some sticky bits coming out. and some over here. Don't want this to look too much like a hedgerow, because it isn't one. Just using the tip of this rigger to blend some texture into those shadows. There's a gap there, so I'll bring some of that further across. Right, now I'm using this stumpy brush. I'm going to stipple some lights and darks into this area of grass. Now, mid-tone, green and blue, stipple into there to again give a bit of texture to the edge of that pathway. Shadowy bits under there. I'm nearly there now, I think. Some grey blue. Carry on with that, a bit more texture in the distance. Need something there, don't I? Just to show some contrast between that mid-tone and this gorsey stuff here. Right, clean that up. Some of the blue into the green, the grey green. I've got some darks into there. Digital art. Oldies but goodies. More digital art on there just to blend things in a bit. There. Now, because it's such a sunny day, which it wasn't when I started out painting, the weather's changed. Right, okay, I'm going to mix up a nice sky blue, white, cobalt blue. Cobalt gives lovely summery blue skies. I say this all the time. If you're doing a landscape, whichever blue you use for your sky, use it to mix your greens with. And that will hold the painting together. Now, this painting, in theory, should be quite harmonious because I've used a very limited palette. I still want the movement in the sky, but I want it to be sunnier. Hence the big blue bit over there. Unfortunately, there's not much tooth on this board, so it's picking up the wet paint a bit. I should have slapped some cotton canvas on it. So in order to stop it lifting, what I'm doing is dabbing rather than trying to smooth it in. Which hopefully will give it a nice impressionistic feel anyway. echoing some of the purpley red colours from down there in the sky. So there, we've still got movement in the sky. Because I've done that, I'm going to use a smaller brush and do something similar in the mountains in the distance to get that sort of glistening feeling I've got in other bits. There, now hopefully I've got a bit more impressionistic by putting those lollopy bits in. Just mix up some more of this pinky colour, if I can remember how I mixed it in the first time. A lot of white. Some more yellowy white in that bit. Break up that line a bit. And while I've got that, they're not there, but I'll put some flowery things over there. And I think Yeah, I think I'm going to call that a day. A bit of green light coming up there. Don't know what it is, just to break up that. I'm going to leave that. It's sort of semi-abstracty. Semi-impressionistic. And I think it's quite happy. So I shall turn the video off now, and then I might do some close-ups of the texture. Okay, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Right, there we are, that's the full painting. I'm going back in now just to try and show some of the texture. There's absolutely no detail in it anywhere, but we're getting, I'm trying to create the play of sunlight in the open air, distance, definitely an impression. It's not anything real at all. I don't know how close I can get into that. Not very. Oh, it's coming. Lots of texture in the paint, which hopefully makes it sing and move. And there we go. I'll call it Moorland Impression or something similar. Okay, that's the end.